What makes people truly fulfilled? Is it love, family, success? Or is it finding out who you really are, what you are truly made of? So you know your purpose here on Earth and your connection to the universe. We exist as physical beings in a physical reality, while our mind is in constant communication with unseen forces and unknown worlds. We are the visible part of a potentially infinite, invisible realm. How do the two worlds, mind and matter, coexist, collide, and interact? We know our intent, our thoughts, our emotions affect how we feel. But have you considered that what you say may also have a direct and measurable influence on your body? A relatively new field of medical science analyzes your vocal imprint to identify toxins and pathogens in the blood and help diagnose many illnesses. Don Estes has developed a new approach to this vocal technology that demonstrates not only the frequency imprint, but the patterns that are present in your voice. Karina Smirnoff's world is all about music and sound. She's a world-renowned professional dancer and choreographer. She was particularly intrigued by the impact sound vibrations can have on her body and her overall well-being.
Well, I've always been busy working and creating my career, and I always wanted kids. There was never a point in my life that I didn't want kids, but it's also difficult because if I have a child, then I have to take time out of my work and out of my career.
I'm gonna introduce you to my friend.
Okay.
And then we'll see what happens.
I'm just gonna let you discover it. You'll see what I mean.
Okay.
Karina, why don't you tell us about your life?
Well, my schedule is really, really busy. I travel the world internationally constantly. I do 14 to 16-hour days. I always feel like there is never enough time to do everything that I want.
So what you're actually going to be doing today is you're going to be doing a new technology called the portical, which you express yourself into. So we take the voice in, we analyze that, and at the same time that that's happening, I'm plotting this pattern on this screen. Most people use this technology as an intention machine, an intention manifestation machine. I want to speak my intentions into it, and I want that to come true. So we'll have you put that on and flip it around that way. Perfect.
Can you talk about something that's really, really bothering you right now?
At this point, the only thing I'm missing is having my own kids, having a family. I feel like I'm running out of time to have a child where my parents can also get to enjoy their grandchild, where I'm not a mom who gets, to pick up her child from kindergarten. They start thinking, is that your grandma?
Okay, so Dawn can show you how these are real patterns that are inside yourself.
Yeah, well, the first thing I noticed about this is all of her outward radiance has kind of gone away. We see more again of these oval shapes that are vertical ovals, which means there's a lot of focus on the potential, more so than the imaginary. So on this horizontal plane, you got a lot of energy tied around time.
So, Karina, when you look at this pattern, how do you feel?
It's busy without structure.
Chaos.
Maybe.
So,
why don't you switch to something you really, really love? Something that's working in your life that you want more of.
I do what I love. I get to travel the world. I love traveling. I get to experience different countries, cultures. So I love that and I enjoy that tremendously. And I'm also doing a lot of things with the kids. I have a big kids program that is taking off really, really fast. This is like having a dream come true. In terms of work and where it's going, I couldn't be more grateful and happier.
Great. All right.
So now we see a lot of harmony going on in there. We've got a lot of circles outside of the center there. That really brings your energy out into the environment. And it's going to have a tremendous effect on people.
Well, it's a responsibility to self as well as to other people to be able to stay in the right state of mind, to stay positive.
What's your favorite color?
I've always loved yellow because I find that it's happy, it's a ray of sunlight, it's warm, it's life-bringing. It's yellow. Like, yellow is happy.
All
Great.
right.
And tell us about your least favorite colors.
My least favorite is dark burgundy, like that dull, not even dark, like dull burgundy. I find it stale and flat and old.
This is interesting. When she was saying yellow, I saw more
You
yellow.
saw more yellow here.
And then when she was saying burgundy, there was more burgundy.
So if I want to feel happy, I should wear more yellow?
She doesn't even have to wear yellow. She could say or think yellow.
That's true. That's what we were talking about earlier. It's what you say is what reality is. And that's the hardest thing for people to really get.
Well, thank you very much. This was incredible. It was very eye-opening, and I learned a lot. I believe the experience today not only enhanced, but it kind of proved that we create our reality. So if there's something that we want, we need to project it out there. We need to manifest it. We need to at least give ourselves the platform to create it. There is something more to a human being other than just a physical being.
It's kind of like a fingerprint. It's like each one of us has a individual everything. We have an individual fingerprint, we have a voice print, we have brain frequencies and heart beats. Your heart shows how you're feeling about things. Your brain shows how you're thinking about things. But your voice does that immediately. When you say it into the real world, you make it real. And if you say it enough, it will become real. Reality actually starts on the other side. A lot of scientists that are beginning to see this see it as a mirror universe. Any real thing that's on this side in the direct space we live in that is not 100% its true self, it hasn't totally actualized yet, it still has a potential self, a missing part that's still on the other side. Those two components are discrete, but intention has the ability to reach across that veil and consider these actual and potential components and bring them together. And as soon as it brings them together, a little string shows up over here on this side. You have these automata as the most primary basic level of reality that when added together by intention, they become strings, which become primary particles, which become atoms, which become molecules. The molecules come together and make up cells. The cells come together and make up tissues. The tissues make up organs. The organs make up superorganisms like humans, stars, star systems and galaxies and that sort of thing.
We know our intent can change the outcome of our physical reality, thanks to the placebo effect in medical treatments, and to the famous double-slit experiment first performed by Thomas Young in 1801. This experiment demonstrates that a particle, which should travel in a straight line according to the laws of physics, creates instead a diffraction pattern.
Now that's called the observer paradox. Why is it that when an observer looks, you get particle distribution, 2 lumps of particles behind each slit, and when the observer doesn't look, you get a diffraction pattern. The particle doesn't exist, you see, until some player gets that information of the particle being there in their data stream. Once that's done, it has to stay there. It has to, it has to be a particle from then on. So it acts like a particle. That's what brings it into this reality. It becomes a part of the physical world. Then anybody else that looks there will see that same thing.
It is actually very empowering to think that we live in a physical world that hasn't happened yet. It is your observation. In other words, it is you. It is your consciousness that is reaching into the world of probability and bringing it into existence. Our voice contains the patterns of our thoughts and emotions, while our brain is registering and storing these patterns in the form of EEG waves. We can in fact replay these EEG waves and translate them back into an actual sound. Another contribution to this concept comes from audio engineer Colin Harrington, who claims to be able to see his thoughts, his emotions, and his dreams on a projected screen.
I've always been a very vivid, lucid dreamer, as long as I can remember, 3, 4 years old. And I would describe my dreams to people, and I was met with a lot of skepticism, so I felt compelled to try to figure out a way to show people or let them see and hear my dreams. When I got into computer sound and composition, a lot of my master's was focused on various different EEG projects and interactive multimedia and things like synesthesia and changing color into sound and sound into colors. Color is a frequency, light is a frequency, brainwaves are a frequency, all of the sound that you hear is a frequency. Those correlations and blending those with diverting them into other sensory inputs are making the internal external and the intangible tangible. There's a whole field called cymatics that turns vibrations into the patterns, and you can see the wave interference patterns that are very elaborate and striking and beautiful.
Using sometimes different types of technologies like this can help you retrain your brain. You see the results of how your mind works.
Naomi Grossman is one of the most creative actors I know. She applies various mind-body techniques in her acting career as well as in her real life. She was fascinated by the idea that she could have a visual and auditory representation of how her mind operates.
It's a one-to-one real-time response. So as your mind is evolving and changing based on your mood and your alertness, it will generate music in real time. And I can run that into pretty much any instrument that I want. So we'll be able to hear a representation of your feelings.
Oh God, I'm scared.
There's a little bit of saline solution on this.
Okay.
It's nothing strange. It's used as a conductor.
Oh, I like this look.
It's definitely a little futuristic.
Yeah.
So this will be a little bit better of an example if you wanted
Okay.
to stress yourself out.
Go for the stress.
And if you could think about something stressful one more time. So I think we can see an incredible range being in the world of acting, being able to turn it on like that is really impressive because I've run this, various iterations of this software on hundreds of people, but I've never seen someone be able to turn it on and turn it off, you know, by going to there, wherever there is. So.
I mean, it's like when you're playing make-believe, you know, and
So you're a perfect
playing
test subject.
house, and I'm the mom, and you're the dad, and you go there.
I thought this was spot on. I mean, it was insanely accurate. Could you show us a little bit of the visualizer? In other words, as opposed to hearing, is it possible to see the thoughts and emotions?
Sure. What I have this mapped to is blue would be a more calm, and a red would be a more angry, and then we're going to have purple right here in the middle, so we can see if you can change the colors.
Can you give it a try?
Okay.
Stress.
And go ahead and try to calm down and reach a state of peace. I really love the one-to-one real-time relationship here.
It's amazing.
So did I
It
go
was
red,
right on.
and then did I go blue?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I've spent plenty of time going red in my mind. Whereas going blue, you know, I have less experience with that. And it was fun. I enjoyed like going to Jamaica and like feeling the sun on my skin.
It can be a conscious decision with training. You obviously have a certain aptitude for turning yourself calm or turning yourself angry that most other people may not have right off the bat. But it's something that you can learn even if you don't have that kind of focus. You can train yourself. Now what we'd like to do is train the computer to recognize an image.
Let's try with a positive image.
Let's try something with a positive. This is the image that we're going to be using. We can teach the computer how you react to a certain image. I included this blank white slide in there to be nothingness unless you're recalling a specific pattern. So let's try to recall that image. Put yourself on stage. And then think of nothing.
Nothing.
Put yourself back on that stage and feel the way that you felt when you were there.
It's crazy.
It reminds me of that expression, when it rains, it pours. It's no wonder that, like, when things are going well, they go really, really well, or vice versa. Like, those times when I booked 2 national commercials and got a boyfriend all in 1 week. It's like, well, yeah, I'm putting something out there. I'm fixating on the positive. And it just goes to show, like, we need to flood our brains with positive images.
It was so interesting, you know, I mean, we have so much power.
We have the power to affect change in our lives, so why not choose the positive, since we have a choice?
Yeah. Did this help you kind of see how your mind can go either way in a split second?
Yes.
And how your brain is registering?
It's like, when in doubt, if you get the choice, which, because we have the choice, go to Jamaica.
Our thoughts and emotions can be perceived as sound and images. Sound can be turned into an image, as in the biological sonar that is used by several kinds of animals, whereby the animal emits a sound that resonates and echoes back a visual description of the environment that they're in. In plant life, studies have shown that trees emit a frequency, and this is how trees can communicate with other trees about incoming predators or weather patterns. How could there be oneness with animal life, plant life, and the earth itself without a mechanism that allows you to maintain this oneness? If plants and animals can communicate through seemingly invisible frequencies, is it possible that humans could also be doing the same? We are surrounded by this invisible pool of energies and waves. We know electromagnetic waves, sound waves exist, but we don't see them. So the idea is, how much of these waves can we actually detect on this side of the veil? Ex-FBI agent Ben Hansen has been investigating and documenting paranormal anomalies around the world using multiple technologies. He volunteered to demonstrate these technologies to us, so I decided to bring a friend along. Corey Feldman needs no introduction. Child actor, filmmaker, and musician, Corey's fascinated by supernatural phenomena and wanted to join us for some interesting experiments.
When I was working for the Bureau, they have looked into phenomena such as UFOs and counter relations. Yeah. The devices that I use conducting kind of our own experiments into something that's called ITC research. I don't know if you've heard of that before. So it's instrumental transcommunication. So in about the 70s, people started experimenting and finding out you could take all sorts of electronic devices and voices were showing up on the tapes.
A little skeptical. But...
you know, and so was I. Yeah. Completely skeptical. Yeah. Because the prime theory of what we call capturing an EVP, okay, electronic voice phenomena, is that we're dealing with electromagnetic waves. And what they found was that you can take a device such as this, which is an induction coil, okay? This experiment we're gonna do, you'll speak into the red tape recorder. Then what we're going to do is transmit through this induction coil to the blue tape recorder. The blue is the receiver, the red is the transmitter. We're going to take your voice and I'll have you make a message on the red tape recorder.
Okay.
So the first thing I want you to do, if you could take the battery out of the blue recorder for me.
Sure. And there's a blue battery in it too. Isn't that convenient? Okay,
great.
Put that there.
So for quality control, we'll take the blue recorder and we'll just set it over here out of the way.
Okay.
Okay. Now the red recorder, I would like you to leave a message.
Captain's log, stardate 2018. This is Captain Corey of the USS Red Recorder leaving a message that may be detected in other universes or dimensions.
Great. Awesome.
I love that.
So I can see it's there. You left a 20-second message.
Perfect.
Okay, so it's here. But just to make sure, what we're going to do is we're going to take what we call an EMF meter, electromagnetic field meter. And as we play this back, you can see the needle fluctuating. The EMF meter is picking up electromagnetic field from this device.
Got it.
His voice is on the recorder, but what is being picked up here is not the sound. Okay, it's being picked up by an induction coil, which creates a magnetic field.
It's just basically magnetic energy that's
magnetic
traveling.
energy, exactly. So we'll put the meter aside, and now we have a transmitting coil, which is broadcasting the message. And if you could now put the battery back into the recorder. Okay, so we've shown it was not recording at the same time this was, so there's no way it picked up on it. I'm not going to touch these two coils together. Okay, you see they're close because they've got to be close to each other's fields. Okay, but they're not touching.
Yeah.
Powered on.
Okay?
Okay.
Excellent. So now we have our blue recorder, okay, which we'll call it the receiving recorder. Just get a simple little speaker here so that we can hear it better. We're going to plug into it. Fingers crossed. Let's see if your message is now on the captured recorder.
Captain's log, stardate 2018. This is Captain Corey of the USS Red Recorder leaving a message that may be detected in other universes or dimensions. Well, there you go.
That is
Do you see how clear it was?
Very clear.
Very clear.
That was not done by radio waves. It was not done acoustically. We've transferred it seemingly through some magical energy, but science knows is an electromagnetic field. So the theory behind this is it's energy-based. It has to be, okay? All we have here is a piece of metal with wire wound around inside of it. What do you think the biggest induction coil, let's think grand scale, what do we have would be the biggest induction coil that surrounds us all?
The Earth.
The Earth. If it's that, or if it's some other energy we don't quite understand, we're all connected to it.
You just demonstrated how
Sound waves
can be transferred from one point to another.
without physical contact.
I can think of somebody across the world, and just by thinking about
They'll
them,
call you.
they call you.
Yeah, I do it all the time. The reality is we're all plugged in to the same source.
I completely agree. We can take this whole concept of imprinting your residual onto a physical object, okay, visually, and in a special camera that I have. So if I could have you both just have a seat right there, and
Okay.
just relax, okay? I'm gonna come over here,
Okay.
and I have a specialty camera here. The average human puts out about the same amount of heat energy as a 100-watt light bulb. Okay, so that's what you're doing right now, both of you just sitting there. Energy is, as we know, in the law of thermodynamics, it can be transferred from one thing to another, right? And heat being an energy, a wave in a sense, you guys are emanating that now, okay? And you're interacting with everything you come in contact with. So just by sitting there in those chairs, you're transferring energy.
Sometimes you'll have a masseuse, they'll like do that, and then they'll just kind of put their hands above you, but they're
Yeah.
not touching you,
Yeah.
but you can feel the heat radiating
Yeah.
through your body, right? That's the same
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you might even feel that when you meet certain people, kind of the energy transfer.
Okay.
So if I could have you both stand up and just go
Okay.
hang out there on that couch for a second.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna let this record just so we have enough here. So before you guys sat down, I took a video of those chairs you're sitting in with a thermal camera, which sees into the infrared spectrum. So it senses heat, not much of the visible light at all. Okay, and you'll see here the chairs are primarily blue. Above you, we have some red heat, which is actually a heater, okay, a vent up there that's heating up the books on the top
I see
shelf.
it. Yep, okay.
Okay, so when you sat down, there you are in full color. The darker areas represent the colder spots, so you can see your pants and the cuffs that are not actually touching your pants are darker. And
Shoes
your
are darker.
faces are the brightest because they're the hottest in frame. So what I wanted to show you was the point that you guys get up here. So you get up out of your chairs.
And bam, look at that. That is an imprint. Woo.
Yes, and
That's some serious heat. Look at that. Oh, wow, look at mine, really bright where my face was.
you can see where your hand was on the left hand, and you, I think, had an elbow or something like you were just sitting there.
Right.
Yeah, but it's really from, I mean, it seems like that's
torso.
right, yeah, it's right where my heart would be.
Yeah, the chest seems to be the brightest.
It's not just the heat that we feel, but it's also an energy we can see.
We affect everything in the material world with our energy. So if we have good energy and we're putting good energy out to the world, then we're going to get good responses back. But if we're putting out negative energy all the time, then you're going to have negative come in and affect your life that way until you make a conscious effort to stop. And once you go, I'm going to believe everything is good, everything is fine, it's all going to work itself out. And then all of a sudden things start to reverse themselves.
I will never tell somebody with 100% certainty what I captured on this tape recorder or on this video is a ghost, an alien. I don't know that.
I don't believe in ghosts, mind you, I never did. But there have been things that have happened where it makes you question it.
All we know is it's unexplained. And it's something that we can't see, but it's being perceived. And somehow technology is capturing it.
Obviously, I believe that there is much beyond this reality. I mean, I have many variations on that. So if we're talking about the spiritual realm, or if we're talking about the interdimensional realm, or, you know, there's a lot of different kind of understandings of what that means.
we probably occupy the same physical space. So if we do, but we don't see each other or all the time, what would you call that? And a dimension is just kind of like the only word that comes to mind. So multiple dimensions, yes, I think it's very possible.
The fact that people said, oh, well, this is God, I believe is just a limited capability of understanding at that time. What they saw in miracles and things that happened before them were unexplainable in any other way other than saying, that's God.
Outside of the physical, I believe that there is an energy out there.
I do believe there's a bigger force at play.
Something's happening that's bigger than us.
Beyond the body, once we leave our meat puppet behind, we go back to our actual true existence.
At times I get frustrated that I can't see it, even though I have like these beady Canadian close-set eyes that I would hope that are like laser beams to be able to see these things. I can't, and it really frustrates me.
You know, it's like you pull the goggles off the virtual reality and you're home again.
And when you're brought back, you maybe choose what you want to be.
Our reality, in essence, could be different to different people, although I do think there is one truth. The problem is that science has not caught up to be able to explain the rules by which it operates.